The cost of staying. Destiny learned quickly that loving Jan Kong meant learning how to live with silence. Not the comfortable kind that had once filled the backseat of his car while she slept on his shoulder, but the heavy, watchful silence that followed him home on nights when something had gone wrong. Those nights had a pattern. He would arrive late. His jacket would smell faintly of smoke and rain. He would wash his hands longer than necessary, as if trying to scrub something invisible away. She never asked where he had been. She had learned, painfully, that some questions closed doors instead of opening them. Instead, she learned his tells. The way his jaw tightened when he was holding back anger. The way his fingers flexed when he was afraid. The way he watched the door when he thought she wasn't looking. It was on one of those nights that Destiny realized love was no longer just something she felt. It was something she was doing. She was changing her routes home. She was lying to her mother about working late. She was memorizing the sound of unfamiliar footsteps. And worse than the fear was the quiet guilt that came with it. At the hospital, her supervisor pulled her aside one afternoon. "You've been distracted lately," Priscilla said gently. "You missed a medication timing yesterday. That's not like you." Destiny apologized. Promised it wouldn't happen again. She meant it. But that night, as she lay beside Jan in his penthouse bed, listening to the city breathe through the windows, she wondered how many more promises she would break without realizing it. Jan stirred beside her, his arm tightening around her waist. "You're thinking too loudly," he murmured. She smiled faintly. "Is that a crime?" "Depends on the thoughts." She hesitated. Then, quietly, "How many people have gotten hurt because of me?" He went still. "That's not a fair question. That's not an answer." Jan turned to face her, his expression careful. "No one has been hurt because of you. Yet." He reached for her face, his thumb brushing beneath her eye. "If I thought you were in danger, I wouldn't let you stay." Destiny held his gaze. "You don't always get to decide that." Something flickered between them then. Not anger. Not fear. Control. Lines that blur. The clinic received a new patient on a rainy Thursday afternoon. He was young. Early 20s. Limping badly. His knuckles were split, his ribs bruised in a way Destiny had learned to recognize too well. When she asked how it happened, he smiled thinly and said he'd slipped on wet stairs. She didn't believe him. As she cleaned his wounds, she noticed the way his eyes tracked the door. The way his body tensed every time someone passed in the hallway. "You're safe here," she said quietly. The young man looked at her for a long moment. Then, just as quietly, he said, "You shouldn't be." Her hands stilled. "What do you mean?" He shook his head. "Nothing. Forget I said anything." But Destiny couldn't. That evening, she confronted Minjun in the supply room. "People are scared," she said. "Not of their injuries. Of what comes after." Minjun's expression was unreadable. "This world isn't gentle." "That's not an excuse. It's reality." Later that night, she told Jan about the patient. He listened without interrupting. When she finished, he nodded once. "I'll handle it." "How?" "Carefully." She stepped closer. "That's not enough for me anymore." Jan studied her. "You're asking me to change the rules of a world that existed long before you entered it. I'm asking you to stop pretending it doesn't hurt people." His voice hardened. "Everything hurts someone." Destiny swallowed. "Then don't ask me to be blind to it." Silence stretched between them. Finally, Jan said, "If you keep pulling at threads like this, you won't like what unravels." She met his gaze. "Then stop giving me threads." That night, they made love with an urgency that felt like fear disguised as passion. And afterward, lying tangled in sheets, Destiny wondered whether love was supposed to feel like standing on the edge of something that could collapse at any moment. The truth arrived sideways. The call came while Destiny was grocery shopping. An unknown number. She almost ignored it. "Miss Williams," a woman said when she answered. Calm. Polite. "My name is Hannah Yun. I believe we share an acquaintance." Destiny's chest tightened. "I don't know who you're talking about." "You do," Hannah replied. "Jan Kong." Destiny stopped walking. "He didn't tell you about me," Hannah continued. "I suppose that isn't surprising. What do you want?" Destiny asked. "To meet." "No." A pause. Then, softly, "He came back to you for a reason." The words hit like ice water. "What reason?" Hannah sighed. "You really don't know." The line went dead. That night, Destiny waited until Jan returned home. "You know the Yun family," she said. His eyes darkened. "They contacted you." "Yes." He exhaled slowly. "I was hoping to avoid this." "What didn't you tell me?" Jan crossed the room, stopping a few feet away. They think you're leverage. And are they wrong? No, he said quietly. They're not. Destiny felt the floor tilt beneath her. You came back to me, she said slowly. Because you cared, or because I was useful? Jan didn't answer immediately. That pause shattered something. I cared, he said. But I also knew you'd be important. Her voice trembled. Important to what? To ending this war without bloodshed. Destiny laughed softly. You used me. No. You chose me knowing this could happen. Yes. The truth landed, heavy and irreversible. She stepped back. Every moment. Every word. Was any of it just us? Jan reached for her. She pulled away. I didn't lie about loving you, he said urgently. But you lied about why you stayed. The room felt suddenly too small. I need time, Destiny whispered. Jan nodded once. I'll give you whatever you need. But as she walked out, Destiny realized something terrifying. He hadn't said he would let her go. What breaks and what remains? Destiny didn't go home. She went to Patricia's. The older woman listened without interrupting, her expression grave. He loves you, Patricia said finally. But love doesn't erase manipulation. I don't know if I can forgive this, Destiny said. You don't have to decide tonight. But Destiny knew the truth. She had crossed a line the moment she stayed silent the first time he came home bloodied. The moment she believed love could protect her from consequences. Her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You have 3 days to leave him. After that, he won't be able to protect you. Destiny closed her eyes. Across the city, Jan stood in his office, staring at the security feed that showed Destiny walking into Patricia's building. Minjun spoke quietly behind him. They're escalating. Jan's jaw tightened. So am I. You'll lose her. Jan didn't look away from the screen. I already might have. Minjun hesitated. There's something else you should know. Jan turned. The night you waited outside the hospital, Minjun said. The contact wasn't late by accident. Jan's blood ran cold. They told the Yun family where you'd be, Minjun continued. They knew she'd come out. They knew she'd see the car. Jan whispered, You're saying? She didn't just stumble into your life, Minjun finished. She was always part of the plan. Just not yours. Across the city, Destiny stared at the warning message again, her heart breaking open with the realization that the night she thought was fate might have been something far darker. And for the first time since she met Jan Kong, she wondered whether love had brought her into danger, or whether danger had chosen her long before love ever arrived. The shape of the trap. Destiny did not answer Jan's calls. She turned her phone face down on Patricia's kitchen table and let it vibrate itself into silence. Every buzz felt like a tug on something already raw. Every missed call carried the same weight. Come back, let me explain, trust me again. Trust was the problem. She spent the night on Patricia's couch, staring at the ceiling, replaying the past months with brutal clarity. The first meeting. The kindness. The clinic. The way Jan had looked at her like she mattered. And beneath it all, the truth she hadn't wanted to see. He had known she would matter to his enemies. She woke just before dawn to the sound of Patricia moving quietly around the kitchen. Coffee, Patricia said gently. Strong. Destiny pushed herself upright. Her body felt heavy, like she had aged years overnight. I keep thinking if I trace it back far enough, I'll find the moment I should have walked away. Patricia handed her a mug. You did what people do when they fall in love. You believed the best version of someone. Destiny wrapped her hands around the heat. What if that version was just a strategy? Patricia studied her. Then the question isn't whether he loves you. It's whether he would sacrifice you. The words landed hard. Later that morning, Destiny left Patricia's apartment wearing sunglasses and borrowed clothes. She felt exposed on the street, every passerby a potential watcher. She checked reflections in windows, memorized faces, counted steps. Her phone buzzed again. A text this time. Jan, please. I need to see you. She typed, erased, typed again. Destiny, I need the truth. All of it. No more half answers. The reply came immediately. Jan, then meet me. Tonight. One place only. Destiny, where? A pause. Longer this time. Jan, the hospital parking lot. Her stomach dropped. Destiny, why there? Jan, because that's where everything started. And because I want you to see I'm not hiding anymore. She stared at the message, her heart racing. At the same time, another message slid onto her screen. Unknown number. You shouldn't go. He won't be able to protect you this time. Destiny closed her eyes. Every instinct screamed that tonight was a bad idea, which was exactly why she knew she was going. Jan arrived early. He stood beside the black BMW, hands in his coat pockets, rain misting the air like memory. For the first time since she had known him, he looked uncertain. Destiny approached slowly, stopping a few feet away. "You chose this place," she said. "I wanted you to remember who I was before all of this," he replied. "Before blood. Before enemies." "You mean before I knew enough to be afraid?" Jan flinched. "I never wanted you afraid of me. But you were fine with them being afraid of me." Silence stretched. Jan exhaled. "I didn't know they would move this fast." "You knew they'd move." "Yes. That's not better." He nodded once. "I know." They stood there, rain soaking into concrete, the hospital lights humming behind them. "I didn't plan to use you," Jan said quietly. "But once they noticed you, once they believed you mattered to me, I couldn't undo that." Destiny's voice shook. "So you leaned into it?" "Yes. And every kiss? Every promise. Real," he said immediately. "That's the part that scares me most." She laughed hollow. "You weaponized something real." Jan stepped closer. "I tried to turn it into a shield. And if it breaks?" His jaw tightened. "Then I'll bleed first." A car passed slowly at the edge of the lot. Too slowly. Jan's gaze flicked toward it. Destiny noticed. "Are we alone?" she asked. "No," he said, honest. "But we're not surrounded." That wasn't reassuring. "I can't live like this," Destiny said. "Waiting for someone else to decide if I'm collateral." Jan met her eyes. "Then let me end it." "End what?" "This war." She shook her head. "I don't want blood on my conscience." "I already carry enough for both of us," he said softly. She turned away, tears burning. "That's not love, January. That's control." Before he could respond, Minjun's voice crackled through Jan's earpiece. "Sir." "Now." The lot exploded into motion. Headlights flared. Tires screeched. A van cut across the exit. Jan grabbed Destiny's wrist. "Move." Gunfire cracked through the air. The choice that leaves a scar. Everything happened at once. Jan shoved Destiny behind the BMW as bullets shattered glass somewhere near the hospital entrance. Security alarms screamed. People shouted. Chaos bloomed. "Stay down." Jan shouted, pulling her tight against the car. Her heart hammered violently. "You said." "I said not surrounded," he snapped. "Not safe." Minjun appeared from nowhere, weapon drawn, eyes scanning. "Yun operatives. 3 vehicles. They're not here for you." Destiny stared at him. "Then why am I here?" Jan met her gaze, rain and fury mixing in his eyes. "Because they want to see what I'll choose." A bullet slammed into the BMW's hood. Jan swore, pulling Destiny lower. "Listen to me. When I say run, you run. Don't look back." "No," she said fiercely. "I'm not a pawn." "Then don't make me choose wrong." Sirens wailed in the distance. Hospital security. Police. The Yuns were running out of time. A shadow moved near the van. A woman stepped into view. Elegant. Calm. Unarmed. Hannah Yun. She raised her hands slightly, smiling. "Jan," she called. "Still hiding behind civilians?" Destiny felt Jan stiffen. Hannah's gaze slid to Destiny. Sharp. Assessing. "So this is her," Hannah said. "You look ordinary." Destiny stepped forward before Jan could stop her. "If you're here to threaten someone, threaten me directly." Hannah laughed softly. "Brave. Or naive." Jan growled. "Leave her out of this." "Too late," Hannah replied. "She was in at the moment you went back to the hospital that night." Destiny turned slowly. You knew he'd be there." Hannah tilted her head. "We suspected. You were convenient." The word cut deeper than any bullet. Hannah continued, voice almost kind. "We gave Jan a choice months ago. Step down quietly, disappear, or we dismantle everything he loves." Destiny's breath caught. "You," Hannah said, meeting her eyes, "were never supposed to be loved. Just noticed." Jan's voice broke. "Enough. Choose," Hannah said simply. "Walk away from her, publicly. Tonight. Or the next attack won't miss." Sirens grew louder. Destiny felt something inside her steady. She turned to January. "Don't." He looked at her like the world was ending. "If I don't, they'll keep coming," she finished. "And I'll always be the leverage." Jan clenched his fists. Destiny took a step back. "Say it." "No." "Say it," she whispered. "End it. Or this never stops." Hannah watched, pleased. Jan's eyes filled with something that looked like grief stripped bare. "I can't lose you," he said hoarsely. "You already did," Destiny replied softly. "The night you chose strategy over truth." The sirens were almost there now. Jan straightened, shoulders squaring, mask sliding back into place. Very well, he said coldly, loud enough for everyone to hear. It's over. Destiny felt the words slice through her chest. Hannah smiled. Wise. Jan didn't look at Destiny again. Police cars flooded the lot. Guns lowered. The Yuns melted into the rain like ghosts. Destiny stood alone as the BMW pulled away. She didn't cry. Not yet. Across the city, Jan sat in the back seat, staring at his hands. Minjun said quietly, You did the only thing that would keep her alive. Jan closed his eyes. For now, he said. But they think they won. Minjun hesitated. Didn't they? Jan opened his eyes, something dark and resolute burning there. No, he said. They just made it personal. And miles away, Destiny walked into the hospital alone, heart shattered, unaware that the man who had just broken her heart was already planning a war that would either free them both, or destroy everything that remained. Aftermath is quieter than violence. Destiny learned that heartbreak was not loud. It didn't announce itself with sobs or collapse or dramatic scenes in empty rooms. It settled instead into the smallest parts of her day. In the way she reached for her phone and stopped. In the way she flinched when a black car slowed near the curb. In the way she caught herself listening for footsteps that would never follow her home again. She threw herself into work. Double shifts at the hospital. Extra hours in trauma. Anything that demanded focus sharp enough to drown out memory. Her supervisor noticed the change immediately. You're back, Priscilla said one morning as they scrubbed in. Whatever fog you were in, it's gone. Destiny nodded, forcing a smile. Something like that. But the fog hadn't lifted. It had hardened. At night, she dreamed of rain and headlights and Jan's voice saying it's over like it was a mercy. She woke with her heart racing, fingers curled into sheets that smelled like detergent instead of him. She avoided the clinic. She told herself it was temporary. That she needed distance. That walking away was the healthiest thing she could do. What she didn't know was that walking away didn't mean being free. 3 days after the parking lot, Destiny noticed the changes. A security guard stationed near her apartment building who hadn't been there before. A coworker mentioning that someone had asked about her shift schedule. A missed call from an unknown number that didn't leave a message. She didn't need anyone to explain what it meant. The Yuns were still watching. That night, she opened her journal for the first time in weeks and wrote a single sentence. Love doesn't end danger. It just gives it a target. Across the city, Jan Kong sat alone in his office long after midnight. The lights were off. The city glowed beneath the windows like a distant memory. On his desk lay a thin folder. Destiny Williams. He hadn't asked for it. Minjun had brought it anyway. You need to know what they know, Minjun had said. Jan hadn't opened it. Not until now. Inside were things he already knew, and things he didn't. Her mother's address. Her brother's name. A grainy photo of Destiny leaving Patricia's building. And a note at the bottom, handwritten. She will not be protected by distance. Jan closed the folder slowly. They're testing me, he said quietly. Minjun stood in the doorway. They're daring you. Jan leaned back, eyes dark. Then they've forgotten who taught them how this game is played. Minjun hesitated. Sir, if you move now, she'll be pulled back into it. Jan's jaw tightened. She never left. The lie meant to save. Destiny's phone rang at 2:17 a.m. Patricia. I didn't want to call this late, Patricia said, her voice tight. But someone was asking questions at the clinic today. Destiny sat up. What kind of questions? The wrong kind, Patricia replied. About you. About why Jan Kong trusted you. About whether you were still in contact. Destiny's chest tightened. I'm not. I know, Patricia said. But they don't. After the call ended, Destiny lay back against the pillows, staring at the ceiling. She had done everything right. She had walked away. She had chosen safety. She had let herself be broken instead of reckless. And still, the danger hadn't loosened its grip. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. We know you think he chose wrong. He didn't. But he lied to you. Destiny's breath caught. What do you want? She typed. The response came quickly. The truth. Meet me. Alone. Tomorrow. She stared at the screen for a long time. Every lesson screamed don't go. And yet, Jan watched the security feed from a private room beneath one of his legitimate offices. Destiny sat across from Hannah Yun in a quiet cafe. Sunlight streaming through the windows like this was any other ordinary meeting between two women with nothing to lose. Jan's hands curled slowly into fists. Audio is live, Minjun said quietly. Hannah smiled on the screen. You look tired. Destiny didn't smile back. Say what you came to say. Hannah tilted her head. You believe Jan used you. He admitted it. Part of it, Hannah agreed. But not the worst part. Destiny stiffened. He didn't just know you would matter, Hannah continued calmly. He knew you already did. What does that mean? It means, Hannah said, leaning forward, that the night you fell asleep in his car, he wasn't waiting for a rival contact. Destiny's pulse thundered. He was waiting for you. Jan's breath caught. Destiny whispered, that's a lie. Hannah smiled. Is it? Jan slammed his hand against the console. Cut it. Minjun didn't move. Hannah continued, voice smooth. He knew you worked long shifts. He knew which car you ordered. He knew exhaustion would make you careless. Destiny's face drained of color. He didn't plan for you to fall asleep, Hannah said. But he planned for you to get in. Jan stood abruptly. Enough. Hannah leaned back. He told you the truth once you mattered. But the beginning. She shook her head. That was strategy. Destiny stood, chair scraping loudly. You're lying, she said, but her voice trembled. Hannah's eyes softened just slightly. Ask him. The cafe door opened. Jan walked in. Destiny turned slowly, disbelief flooding her features. You came, she whispered. I had to, he said quietly. Her voice broke. Tell me she's lying. Silence. Not long. Just long enough. Destiny laughed softly, a sound full of shattered glass. You planned it. Jan stepped closer. I didn't plan to love you. But you planned to meet me. Yes. The word fell between them like a blade. I would have protected you, he said urgently. I thought if I controlled the beginning, I could control the ending. Destiny shook her head. You stole my choice. Hannah rose, satisfied. I think we're done here. She walked out. Destiny stared at Jan, tears finally spilling. Every moment I thought was fate, she whispered, was manipulation. Jan reached for her. She pulled away. I loved you, she said. And you built that love on a lie. Jan's voice cracked. I would have torn the world apart to keep you safe. Destiny wiped her tears. That doesn't undo what you did. She turned and walked away. Jan stood there alone, realizing too late that the lie meant to save her had become the betrayal that broke her. And somewhere deep inside him, something colder than anger began to take shape. Not grief. Resolve. The vanishing point. Destiny disappeared without drama. No goodbye note. No warning. No confrontation. She resigned from the hospital with 2 weeks' notice and used every favor she had left to transfer to a facility 3 states away. Patricia helped quietly, efficiently, asking no questions Destiny wasn't ready to answer. Running doesn't make you weak, Patricia said as she handed her the final envelope. It makes you alive. Destiny nodded, though her chest ached like she had left something vital behind. She changed her number, deleted her old email, stopped looking over her shoulder only after weeks of forcing herself to breathe normally again. But some wounds don't close just because distance exists. At night, she still dreamed of Jan's voice, of the way his hand had once rested at the small of her back like a promise. She told herself it had all been a lie. But lies didn't hurt this much. Jan knew the moment she vanished. The security feeds went dark. The hospital records updated. The apartment stood empty. She's gone, Minjun said quietly. Jan didn't respond. He stood at the window of his office, city lights blurring into something meaningless. For the first time since childhood, there was nothing he could buy, threaten, or control to fix what he had broken. She's safe, Minjun added. Jan closed his eyes. Then I did one thing right. She won't forgive you. Jan nodded once. She shouldn't. What followed wasn't rage. It was precision. Jan dismantled his empire piece by piece, quietly bleeding power without warning the Yuns what was coming. He handed over territories, cut alliances, fed false information into rival hands. He made himself uninteresting. And then, when the Yuns finally moved in for the kill, there was nothing left to take. Hannah Yun watched the collapse from a distance, confused. You gave up everything, she said during their final call. For a woman who walked away. Jan's voice was calm. No, I gave it up because keeping it destroyed her. Silence. You think this redeems you? Hannah asked. No, Jan replied. I think it ends you. 2 weeks later, the Yun family fell, not to bullets, but to exposure. Financial crimes. Political pressure. Allies turning states evidence. No blood. Just erasure. What survives? A year later, Destiny stood on the balcony of her small apartment, watching the sun dip behind unfamiliar buildings that finally felt like home. Her life was quieter now. Safer. She worked long shifts again, but this time the exhaustion felt earned, not dangerous. She laughed more. Slept better. Trusted herself again. She had learned something important. Love that requires fear is not love. It's survival pretending to be romance. One evening, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. She almost ignored it. Almost. Unknown. I don't expect a reply. I only wanted you to know you were right to leave. Her chest tightened. Unknown. Everything is gone now. The power. The enemies. The man I was when I met you. She stared at the screen. Unknown. I won't look for you. I promise. I just needed you to know. You were never the mistake. Destiny exhaled slowly. She didn't respond. She didn't need to. Some love stories aren't meant to be fixed. They're meant to be survived. She deleted the message, stepped back inside, and closed the balcony door. And for the first time since the night she fell asleep in the wrong car, she felt something settle into place. Peace. If you enjoyed this story of love, betrayal, and survival, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story.